Well, hello there. As you know, this is UMass Sports Weekly, your number one source for all things UMass sports. Now, as you also know, I'm your host, Tommy Cludian. We do have a lot to get to tonight. The MLB is in full swing. The NHL and NBA playoffs are blooming and blossoming in great ways. And it's a great time of year for UMass fans because your Minutemen and Minutewomen teams are deep into A10 and CAA play. Now, Liam Burns is going to come in first, talk about the baseball team, how they're faring in A10 play, followed by Jon Ho to talk about the women's lacrosse team and how they're doing in the A10. To end the show, John Andersen is going to come on and talk about the UMass men's lacrosse team in CAA play. Now, it's a beautiful day outside. We are in the studio, but that doesn't mean we can't have a beautiful show. Strap in, everybody, because this is UMass Sports Weekly.
This is UMass Sports Weekly.
Now, as we've talked about in previous weeks, this is Coach Stone's last season with the baseball team, and we're wanting to hope, that this team ends his tenure with a good season. Now, I'm here with Liam Byrne. Liam, we took a week off. Very nice day last Tuesday. Yeah. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope everybody's enjoying the nice weather in general. Mm-hmm. But the baseball team, what we saw at the beginning of the season, not phenomenal. Still, not great, but performing better than they usually do, better than average.
Right.
Have we been seeing the same baseball team over the past couple of weeks now that A10 play has started?
We have.
Or is their performance different?
No, it's been normally the same as this season goes on and in past seasons. And
is that a good thing?
It is not a good thing, Tommy.
Okay.
No, because they stand right now at 8-20 with a 3-6 record in the A10, and they're tied for second to last in the A10. And I mean, we'll get to this later, but they end up playing LaSalle this weekend in a A10 conference series, and LaSalle is even worse. They are 1-8 and 6-27 overall. So it's just another season for UMass that Coach Stone has been used to in the past few years. I mean, yes, he's a very successful and tenured coach, but after 30 seasons, obviously it's a good time to call it quits at where the baseball team is right now. Yes, they have a lack of veteran presence, but finding the ways to win hasn't been UMass's forte in the past few years. I mean, especially you can see it this season. A lot of young guys have been stepping up, and we've had that lack of veteran and juniors and seniors on this team that just are not showing up. So the future of this program needs to be driven by these young guys, and it will happen. And hopefully the new coach next year will do that and instill it in this program.
So more of the same, no veteran presence, not a lot of winning, and middle of the pack, bottom of the pack within the A10. Mm-hmm. Now, Liam, you hinted at LaSalle coming up. Let's go back a little bit. In their last 9 games, obviously we took a week off. These guys play back-to-back doubleheaders, games every other day. So tell us about these last 9 games and what we can take away from them.
Yeah, obviously it's a tough schedule playing baseball, and you see it in the MLB. It's every day. But here in college, you get a weekend series every week, and sometimes you get those games in the middle of the week, so it's tough. But in the last 9 games, UMass has lost 7 out of their 9, and those 2 wins were, I'd say that they were good. They weren't bad, but could be better. I mean, you get a blowout victory against Central Connecticut State, who is a team that you don't really expect to be top caliber. So that was a 15-0 win. UMass took over Central Connecticut. And then this past Sunday, UMass got a walk-off victory against St. Louis. And it was a good A10 win for them, their 3rd of the season. And St. Louis isn't that bad in the A10 either. So it was a nice, good victory to hopefully lead them into some good momentum in the upcoming games. But today, unfortunately, UMass took the loss to UConn 11-3 in Connecticut. And tomorrow they go and play Northeastern at Fenway for the Beanpot Consolation. And earlier in the season, UMass was supposed to play Northeastern, but the game got postponed. And we'll get to how we are going to look at the Northeastern game
So
coming
you talked about the Beanpot game. UMass went in relatively high hopes against a struggling BC team in the first game, lost, I believe, 13-1.
Yeah.
Not a very good game at all. For some reason, the Beanpot schedule is 3 weeks apart, these games. So
Well, it's based on the weather, too,
don't ask us.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox schedule. But still, weird scheduling. So UMass is in the consolation game because they lost, taking on Northeastern. How do they match up against Northeastern? And also look forward to LaSalle. Is there anything positive we can pull out of this weekend and this week ahead?
Yeah, definitely. These next 4 games will be essential for UMass in this part of the season for sure. Yes, they rank second to last in the A10, but I think these few games will definitely give them a little boost that they need, especially against Northeastern. They're a team that's very similar to UMass. Their batting isn't as good as any other team in their division because they are in the ACC and they've played a lot of games because most of those teams are down south. So Northeastern definitely is at the same level as UMass, but have a little upper hand in a way. I think last season, Northeastern was able to get the win over UMass in a good fashion. It was 11-6 back last year. And after the Huskies, UMass will take on LaSalle. And like I said earlier, they are not the best team in the A10. They are the worst team in the A10, sitting at dead last with a 1-8 record.
Remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
You ain't first, you're last. That is true. Good old words of Ricky Bobby. But they're 1-8, and I think this would just be a big pick-me-up if UMass would sweep LaSalle. And if they can't sweep LaSalle, then I don't know what else to say about this team because it'd be tough. If you can't sweep the worst team in the A10 from where you're at, you beat VCU, which is one of the better teams in this conference. Like you gotta weigh it out. And we'll see how it goes. If they sweep LaSalle, they'll end up at 500 in the conference and hopefully boost their way up a little bit in the standings.
So a lot at stake this weekend. Sweeping LaSalle, of course, getting them to 500 could definitely do a lot for their A10 standings, do a lot more for their postseason hopes. But as of right now, things looking relatively glum.
Yeah.
Despite the beautiful weather.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot, Liam. Don't touch that dial. When we come right back, Jon Ho is going to come on and talk about the streaking women's lacrosse team. Stay tuned. Hope you didn't move too far after that commercial break because I'm here with Jon Ho to talk about the women's lacrosse team who, as I predicted and as I will keep coming back to throughout the rest of the semester, is doing great. Now, John, like I said in the first segment, we've been off for a week. This team's had a couple of games to go. How have they been doing in the past couple?
Well, they have won 10 straight games, and recently they had a great road win over the Bonies. And basically, UMass dominated the first half. Within 2 minutes, they scored 3 goals. And in the first half, they shot 26 goals to St. Bonaventure's 6. And UMass had 25 ground balls to St. Bonaventure's 15. And by halftime, it was 12-1, and in the second half, UMass added 7 more goals, and the Bonies only scored 4, and in the end, it was 19-5.
19-5 against St. Bonaventure, just to cap off the 10-game winning streak. That would be number 10, because I am really good at math. Now, John, the Minutewomen, you said were able to pull off a tough victory on the road. How were they able to do that?
So what impressed me the most about this victory was their defense. Like I said before, they only allowed 1 goal in the first half, which is the lowest in the first half all season. And also, UMass won the turnover battle. They had Minutewomen had 23 to Boney's 15. And senior Hannah Murphy tied her career high with 5 caused turnovers. She also had 6 draw controls and 5 ground balls, and the whole game, UMass led 34-21 in ground balls. And senior Taylor Fisher and Allison Ryan also had career games. Fisher had a career high 5 caused turnovers and 5 ground balls, and Ryan matched her career high with 4 caused turnovers. And freshman goalie Lauren Hiller made 5 saves in 45 minutes, and sophomore Aylin Kelly finished off the game with 5 saves.
You did touch on Hannah Murphy there. She was one of the people we highlighted earlier in the year who would be important. She's obviously a returning member being a senior, and she's definitely picked up the defensive slack. Now, John, you talked about how explosive this team is on offense, but you've highlighted the past couple weeks how good they are defensively. Why do you think they've been able to win 10 straight games and rattle off a winning streak like this?
So one thing is the mindset of the team. They have a tough bend but don't break mindset. And recently, Angelique McMahon, the coach, said it's a grind, but I think it's a huge part of our identity that we embrace. And it's a grind. I think we thrive in the grind, and that's where we are right now. And also, speaking of offense, they outshot the Bonies 39-20, and they had multiple goal scorers. Sophomore Kylie Andersen had a team high 5 goals, and Abby Walker and Hannah Murphy each had 3 goals, and Holly Turner, Cassidy Dorster, and league goal scorer Hannah Burnt, who has 39 goals this season, had 2 goals. And freshman Emma Dostkistas and Stephanie Croak had a goal each. And like I said before, they're clicking offensively. They've averaged 17.1 goals this season in this 10-game winning streak, and they have a very solid defense. They've allowed 8.5 goals. They've allowed 8.5 goals.
So scoring up and down the lineup from seniors to freshmen, defense has been solid, offense has been explosive. John, there's no reason that this team shouldn't be able to continue the success they've had, but looking forward at the schedule, what do you project as their record down the stretch?
I think they could probably finish the stretch winning all 3 games. The next 3 games are against Atlantic 10 opponents, and they have won 51 consecutive games over Atlantic 10 opponents. And so they should, the next 2 games are at UMass. Next they play George Washington this Friday. George Washington is 2-11, has not won a road game, and has lost 5 straight. So I think they can beat George Washington. George Mason, who they play on Sunday, is probably going to be their biggest challenge. They are 10-4. They are 5-2 on the road, and I think that's going to be their biggest challenge. If there's a chance that they lose, it's probably that game. And the last game is against the Dukes on the road, and they are 2-12, and they've lost 9 straight. And their only victories are at home, so I think they can win that. But I definitely think they have a good shot to finish the season strong.
You heard it from Jon Ho. Definitely a good shot to finish the season strong and go as strongly into the NCAA and A10 tournaments as they've done in years past. Thanks a lot, John. Now, from women's lacrosse to men's lacrosse, we have good news on both fronts. John Andersen is going to come in and talk about the men's lacrosse team, so stay tuned. And there's our favorite audience. Now, the men's lacrosse team were, playing mediocre going into the last couple weeks. They entered CAA play with a couple of wins. They had lost a couple games early, and they took on their biggest CAA rival, Towson. Now, 11-8 loss. Not great. We'll get to better news towards the end of the segment, but John, first off, 11-8 loss, break it down for us.
Well, the 11-8 loss, Tommy, comes, of course, to Towson. And Towson perennially is a very strong defensive team. However, UMass comes into this game and goes down 6-0 in the first quarter of play, which that is a comeback. That is something that you do not come back from. Lacrosse, as we always say, as I always say, is a game of runs, but a 6-goal run is a pretty big one to go down right at the beginning of the game. So that's not something that teams typically come back from. UMass loses the face-offs, the ground ball, the turnover, all those battles. And Mike Lynch and Brian Bulwicki, Joe Sider, those are the big 3 for Towson. They really come through on offense. They've been there. I've been calling games for UMass Lacrosse now for 3 years. They've been there since day one. They're still there. And Towson, currently first place in the CAA. We'll get to CAA stuff later. But UMass, only 27 shots this game, and only 14 of them go on goal. So while they were getting...
So again, we get into this whole thing of flinging it into the parking lot.
Yes, and judging by Towson's defense, Towson most likely, we unfortunately were unable to cover the game, and there's no video of it, so we don't actually know because... I don't know. That's just how that works. But I would bet my life, bet my first child that Towson's defensemen were getting some sticks on that lower shooting hand, and UMass is probably putting some into the parking lot because of that. I mean, they only get 27 shots off. That just shows how good Towson's defense is. Towson was ranked number 15 in the country at the time. Now they're up to something like 11 or 12.
Now, after the Towson game, you have Fairfield, another CAA game. You rebound, you win that one. You boost your
spoilers.
Boost your standing in the CAA.
Yeah.
What issues did they fix in the Fairfield game, and is there anything that maybe was revealed that they still need to work on?
Well, like I mentioned before, they lost face-offs, ground balls, turnovers to Towson the week before. They win all those against Fairfield. And in Fairfield, they really opened up the scoring. In the Towson game, the scoring was really limited to Gianni Bianca and Tyler Bogart, Dan Muller, and Buddy Carr. Whereas in the Fairfield matchup, UMass is really spreading the love. They do end up putting up 12 goals in that game.
You got to spread the love.
Yeah, and DJ Smith was actually pulled the week before at halftime at Towson. Even though it was a very similar stat line to what he'd done in recent games, it was about 50-50. I know he'd been flirting with 60 a couple times.
Could have been a jumpstart tactic. Light a fire under your boys.
Yeah, and Sean, there's no one who lights a fire like their 300-pound backup goalie, Sean Scanone. If he wants a puck, if he wants a ball, you know he wants it. If he gets a ground ball, that is just pure desire right there.
But desire comes from here, apparently.
Well, I was doing an itch.
Yeah, doing an itch.
Don't rewind it. Don't rewind it and see again, because I think I'm right. So for the Fairfield game, UMass, again, not very efficient shooting. 39 shots on goal if we pull up the my little statistic graphic. 39 shots on goal, or shots rather. Only 21 of them go on goal. However, they do win the face-off battle, as I said, the turnovers battle. Ground balls was actually neck and neck. UMass usually is 100% on their clears. Their transition game's been dynamite this year. However, this game, they lose 2 of them, which isn't bad. But the man-up offense is something UMass has been awesome on so far. Only 1 for 3, so that's something to improve on. But like I said, Fairfield is the team to make these mistakes again, because Fairfield last in the CAA right now. And I know I said a couple weeks ago, Fairfield's a free win basically for this team. I mean, it wasn't really free. It was 12-8, but most of these conference play teams, as I'll touch upon in a second, are usually close games that a team wins by only a couple goals. So a 4-goal win is, I'd say, impressive for UMass. You just want to be more efficient shooting. They did well spreading the ball. I think they could have held Fairfield a little better on defense, but DJ Smith lets 12 in, makes 13 saves. Could have been a little better, but like I said, Fairfield's the team to make the mistakes, but next week is not the team to make the mistakes against.
So they have their muck-up game, their tune-up game in Fairfield. Now, I want you to talk a little bit about the CAA standings. Last year, heartbroken right before making it to the tournament. What's the CAA look like now? What's the rest of the way looking like? And how do we project them faring down the road?
Well, Tommy, UMass has clinched a tournament berth. A CAA tournament berth.
Golf.
So they haven't clinched an NCAA tournament berth, but from the CAA, only one team comes out, and it's whatever team wins the CAA will get to go. It's not like the Ivy League where one team wins it, but then all of them make it anyway because they're all the best schools in the country. But if we look at the standings, Towson currently in first place at 3-0. With Fairfield and Hofstra to go. Hofstra at second place, 2-1 with UMass and Towson to go. Drexel, surprise, third place, 2-1 with Delaware and UMass to go. Yep. And UMass
breathing fire down the necks of Towson.
I know, I didn't expect it either. And hey, there's more though. UMass 2-1, 4 seed, Hofstra and Drexel, but they clinch because Delaware and Fairfield are 0-3, and UMass has the tiebreaker over both of them. 2 weeks left in the season. Those teams can get to 2-3. They can make the tournament. They cannot knock off UMass. So UMass is in no matter what. However, Tommy, even more of a surprise, Drexel beat Hofstra, who Hofstra was the number 3 team in the country. They were 9-0, and the Dragons went in, and apparently dragons are real.
Burn the house down. There you go.
Hey, you've never seen a dragon until you've seen one on Long Island before.
So that's where they live.
Yeah. So UMass is in. Towson's got the 1 seed right now. If Hofstra wins out, so if Hofstra beats UMass and then beats Towson, Hofstra gets the 1 seed. UMass could get the 1 seed if they win out and Towson loses out, because they would have one more. The tiebreaker wouldn't matter in that case.
But
Drexel and Hofstra could hypothetically get bounced from the tournament, but that will not happen with Hofstra. Could happen with Drexel, but Delaware and Fairfield. Delaware plays Drexel, then Fairfield. Fairfield plays Towson, then Delaware. So Fairfield could technically hop in. Probably won't, though.
So regardless of what happens, UMass at least has this 2 seed locked up.
They've got the 4 seed right now. They'll probably move up, though. I don't think they'll beat Hofstra this weekend. They'll probably beat Drexel. I think they end up more likely with the 3 seed, so they'll probably have to play, they'll play either Towson or Hofstra first round,
and
most likely.
CAA tournament, 4 seeds.
Yes, 4 seeds.
So UMass
1
is
seed
in.
hosts. That's why I'm rooting for Hofstra, because Long Island is closer.
Yeah, and Dragons live there, so.
Yes, apparently.
Well, there you have it.
Now.
The men's lacrosse team is sitting in good position, and so are we, unfortunately, even though that's the end of the show. UMass Sports Weekly is sitting pretty well. The teams are doing relatively well, sitting on par. As you know, I'm Tommy Kaludi. Thanks for sitting in and watching another great show. Follow us on social media. Make sure you get all the updates you can. We'll be right back here next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. See you later. Good work. Good work.